This podcast could potentially have adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly the possibility of sexual content. Listener discretion is advised.
Always working on things.
Yeah, no, we're recording now, Val. That's how this starts. Okay. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I am your host, Erica Lance. My co-host today, as you have heard so far, that just realized we're actually recording, is Valerie Willis.
I know I'm the favorite co-host.
Episodes. In case people wonder why she's not on the episodes all the time. This is why. Our guest today is the amazing Marisa Wolf.
Hello. Woo. Thanks.
Okay, let's talk about what we're drinking, since Val's not actually drunk on this one, so that's surprising. I'm drinking Angry Orchard hard fruit cider peach mango. So I'm excited about that. I'm on round 2. Marisa, I'll let you go first since Val's not paying attention. Go ahead.
Yep. Okay, I am ready. I have a Jameson whiskey and ginger and lime in a can. And I am also on 2 and or 3. So I've just turned a different color. It's fine.
That's we like that color. We do. Okay. Val, what are you drinking?
I don't know if I can nail this.
You can. I faith in you.
Some Pellegrino.
Very nice.
It says made with natural origin, not made with ingredients from natural origin of Italian oranges. So it's basically an orange and blood orange sparkling drink thing. Italian sparkling drinks.
Okay, now you stop talking about your drink because nobody knows.
I feel fancy when I drink these. I've got some class thanks to my drink.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
You know I do.
Every time.
Marisa's like, I give up drinking on this podcast.
It's gonna happen at some point. I am just gonna spew over my screen. It'll be fine. Slightly sticky.
All right.
Okay, rapid fire questions. You ready?
Ready.
What is your favorite book of all time?
Shit. Now I've never read a book in my whole life. My brain says no. Strange Cities by Italo Calvino.
Okay, why?
It's beautiful. It's translated from the fancy Italian, as Valerie knows. And yes, it's just gorgeous. It's weird and interesting, and it makes you have the book hangover at the end, and you think about the world a little bit differently. Like, what if I fell through the cracks of the world right now?
I love that. What is your least favorite book?
Oh, I usually just stop reading them.
Which is smart, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't, right? Like I got to 30 something, never having not finished. Like if I start a book, I finish a book. And then I was like, this is miserable. I don't like this. Return to Mars. Who wrote that? It was not for me. Was it Ben Bova? Greg Benford? I don't know. It was somebody, an author who I had read multiple books by and loved. And then I read this one and I was like,
what turns you off on a book? Like, what is that pet peeve that you see it and you're like, nope.
Yeah.
Finish.
Either I hate everybody, like no character has a redeeming quality to make me buy into the story, or we spend so much time in the technical, like, let me show off how much science I know, but not so much in the actual story. I'm like, I mean, okay, I could go read a textbook. And sometimes I do. Like I could go read some scientific articles. Cool. Like I'm not reading that for this. And then I just kind of fade out.
That makes sense. What is your favorite trope?
I have like 3. I love enemies to lovers, like a lot. Oh my God, I love it. And especially when there's like, it's like Cranky and Sunshine. Give me Cranky Sunshine. And I'll limit myself to 2. Also found families. Found family is my jam. Like sad, I'm always going to be a lone character, suddenly has this like beautiful family that they have discovered on their way. Oh my God, always.
Very cool. What about your favorite book to movie or TV show? Like you
Sandman.
thought what?
Sandman. I can answer that now, because I think if you had asked me that last year, I'd be like, yes. But I love it. I love the Sandman series. I love the Sandman graphic novels.
What's funny to me is some people have watched the Sandman. They're like, it was very confusing, and I'm like, you didn't read the graphic novels, did you? Because it's very confusing.
You're on a journey. Just go on the journey. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Somebody was like, I don't understand the cat episode, and I'm like, you will.
Yeah. It's the logic of Dream. Remember what character you're following. He's the Lord of Dream. The logic of dreams applies. It's gonna be great.
So in the present novel that you're writing, who would you cast as your lead character?
Oh man. Okay. Nope. This is good. These are good, tricky questions. I would put Anna Kendrick as my main character.
Oh,
I just love Anna Kendrick.
I loved her in Mr. Right. That was
Mr. Right is probably my favorite movie with her.
Rex.
She's a delight. She's funny, she's sassy, but she can be like locked in, laser focused, and that's my jam.
I like it. Okay, what about a book to movie where you think they did an absolutely terrible fucking job?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
There's none of the joy.
I will say, as a huge fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, as far as movies go, it wasn't the worst that they could have done.
No.
It's very hard to put everything in that journey into a movie. And I do have to say, I love the casting of that movie.
Yep. And
so
I think
the casting made me very, very happy. I thought they cast the movie very, very well, and the characters were very themselves, but you do miss a whole bunch of parts of it. Have you ever seen the BBC version of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. So Douglas Adams wrote it, the screenplay, or the screen TV. It's kind of like Red Dwarf. It was filmed in like the 80s, so just be aware when you watch it.
Go with that. Gotcha.
But you can get it off of Amazon. You can order it. I did, because a friend of mine told me that was his favorite book. And I'm like, have you ever seen this series? And he's like, no. And I sent it to him and he's like, oh dear Lord. Cause it's done in England. So it's very Red Dwarfy, Monty Python-y, but apparently the scripts were written by Douglas Adams.
Okay. No, I'll watch. Okay. Then I will, cause you're right. The casting was great. Then I will retract it, although it wasn't quite as charming as the book, and I love that book so much. But Avatar: The Last Airbender then is what I will.
That was a hot mess.
That hurt my feelings.
It had so much potential, and then they train wrecked that hard.
Yeah, I didn't watch that because of that. Everybody said how terrible it was, and they're like, are you going to watch it? And I'm like, no, it's kind of like going, oh, this tastes bad. Here, try it. No.
You smell this. You should smell
Hey,
this.
Does this smell terrible? Smell it.
I'm pretty
like
sure you should check.
The gym bag socks. No.
I am always like, I'm not that person. Thank you. I don't need you to give me your crappy food.
Yeah. Don't need to hate watch. Yeah.
So, what about if you could be any mythical creature? You love writing sci-fi and fantasy. What creature would you be?
A Gorgon.
Ooh. Why?
I just wrote a short story with a Gorgon main character. She's a private investigator. And it was great because she got to wear like the low brimmed hat and the big sunglasses and the trench coat, like keep the snakes undercover and keep from meeting anybody's eyes. Like
Carmen Sandiego vibes.
Exactly, she's very Carmen Sandiego. But like somebody annoys you too much, you can just be like, and look at them, and they're no longer going to annoy you. So
except for depending on where you leave them as a statue.
Yeah, well, and the tweak in that story is that anyone who's been turned into a statue by a Gorgon eventually learns to talk again, but only Gorgons can understand them. So she's constantly dealing with the chatter of statues. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I see that, and I it's terrible. I think of the logistics, and I'm like, I could do that, but then if they're in my office or whatever, then now they're in my office. Like, what the frick am I going to do with this human-sized statue in my damn office?
So one, you keep the sunglasses on and you say, hey, let's just step outside for a second. Then you
And then
change.
all around my
And then
office
you-
building are all these
Thing.
statues. Like,
It's a warning to the next people who come
Oh
over.
no, you have a drop off behind your house. You can just
Like a cliff. Like, bye-bye.
bye. Bye-bye.
don't
I'm
need
on a cliff. Do you see how many like
No one will know.
statues would be outside? That would be
Remote.
terrible. There you go. Problem with being a Gorgon.
I mean, everything's gonna come
And
with
how do
trade-offs.
you convince them to pose before you freeze them though?
Maybe
Well,
you
Show
have
me
a
the gun
side
show.
business as like a yoga teacher. So you're like a yoga instructor Gorgon. And you get them to pose and you're like,
You could, but imagine if you can never have sex like missionary style as a Gorgon, because if your glass is moved, then you've got a statue on top of you.
you blindfold.
Blindfold.
I mean, you'd have to do stuff, but just think about some of these logistics. You couldn't have spontaneous anything because you'd be like, I need to go get my
I need to
blindfold
get my
on.
blindfold. Hey, the kink community has us covered on this, I think. I think there are solutions for all of these issues. Just saying.
Oh man.
Val, I'm adding that to your list.
I know. And I was sitting here, and this is your fault, Erica. And I can't even stare at the camera. And all I could think in the back of my head is, what did the snakes do when she got access?
They're smelling. They're smelling the things.
How about getting giggity with the gargoyle?
You can't turn them to stone. They're already stone. So that might be your solution.
That's true. Hashtag true. Okay. Val, do you have a question, or are you mortified? I can't tell.
Topic of potatoes. How do you prefer your potatoes?
French fried or with garlic and rosemary.
Ooh.
Oh, French fried, what do you dip them in?
Ooh, so I will do any kind of like bougie aioli, or like those fry sauces that are mystery, but you know, they're like mostly ranch. I'm into it. Yeah.
No, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. What is your favorite weird food combination?
Still to this day, French fries and Frosties.
Yeah, French fries and Frosties. I don't think that's weird anymore.
Oh, you're right. Okay, but
I think
started
every meal should come with a small Frosty. 3 French fries.
syrup and scrambled eggs.
Oh.
Like,
Okay.
if I just have scrambled eggs, I'm not gonna like go get syrup and put it on there, but I will often on purpose get like French toast with like an egg or two on the side, and then just like, oh no, my syrup is all over my eggs. Oh, it's terrible. It's not terrible. It's amazing.
I guess I better eat it and not let it go to
No,
waste.
oh no, more has fallen onto it. Oh, I gotta eat it again.
Well, eating in a motorhome's got to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, doing that. What's your favorite motorhome food when you guys are traveling?
On travel days, I mean, like from a restaurant, the new place we've gone to, but I do enjoy like a deli meat cheese roll up situation, like for the actual travel day, so we're not getting fast food all the time. Those are good. And my husband makes a really good frittata, so that we don't have to make breakfast in the morning. So it's just like eggs and vegetables and ranch dressing if I have some. No, like whatever.
A lot of ranch dressing. There's ranch dressing
ranch.
becoming very prevalent
Yeah.
in this.
I don't hate it. So.
I'm assuming you do e-reader now versus physical books, right?
I do. I have one shelf of books, but it's mostly e-readers. Yeah.
That I
e-reader.
would assume so. In traveling, you'd have to have that.
Yeah.
Val,
What? Oh, a question.
you are a host of a show.
She's still thinking about how to protect her Gorgon lover, I think. Just,
No, she's not. You can tell by the look on her face now that she wasn't, but now she is.
Now
Yeah.
I am.
Here to help.
Okay. What is the craziest thing you've had to do research for your novels?
Huh. I don't know about crazy, but I've just spent a lot of time on quantum entanglement, and it is cuckoo bananas, and I love it. It's like the more I read about it, the more I'm like, no, that's actually cuckoo bananas. And then there's like more layers to the cuckoo bananas. So right now Google is recommending a lot of articles to me, like to the point that I just got an article about how some researchers think that human consciousness is based on quantum entanglement. And so I feel like I've now gotten into the woo-woo side of it, and I am into it.
Yeah, no, I got an
You have a problem stopping yourself researching?
I do. I am very much a rabbit hole person, but what I will usually do, especially when I'm on a deadline, which I usually have to be on a deadline, I will set a timer and I will give myself like a good whatever time it is. And then I'll jot down notes in a comment and I'll come back to it later, or I'll say this is good enough. And when it's edits, I'll go see if there's more.
Awesome. What's your worst writing habit would you say you have? Like I tend to cling on cliche and cling on a word, and it changes per novel because I learned my lesson from the last time.
You don't use that one.
Thing I crutch on. So everyone sighs in this novel, everyone glances in that novel.
Yeah. So I have two crutches. One is the M dash, which I am obsessed with. And sometimes, like even now, I just was going through edits and I was like, okay, this is just a comma. Or like, this is a second sentence. You don't have to dash it. It's okay. So that I get a little over the top. And it's also the, almost all of my characters I have noticed, I don't know where this comes from, are in denial about something, like a very strong denial. It's like, I don't even care about that, or whatever it is. It's like, they just shove something down. They're always shoving something down. I'm like, I really might need to just let that stop being a thing. We're shoving it down.
That's okay. All of my characters realize things.
Oh yeah.
This one realized it. That one realized it.
Yep.
Actually, one of our good friends came up with another one. I was talking to her about it because she downloaded her audiobook. And then that's going to be a question I have for you. And she was listening to her audiobook, which authors, I warn you, that is a whole shit show that you can get into listening to your audiobook, because you're going to hear every single problem. The people may not be doing the voices the way you had them in your head. It's just back away. But some people can listen to it. I do it because I do it before I write my next one. That's my things to like what did I say in the last ones? Audiobooks. Now I'm good to go because I can do that doing chores or whatever. But she realized everybody goes outside. Like outside. This was outside and they saw it. This was outside. She used the word outside like a zillion times. She's like, I have to write that down. She has no idea why everything was outside.
And our other co-host, she tends to give everyone J names.
That's the same person, Val, that I'm talking about.
So she replaced the J name issue with the outside issue. That's what's happening.
Now it's outside. Now everybody's. She also used to shrug. People shrug, bite lips. Like we tend to use the same thing. So you have to put a little post-it of all the things you got to go through.
Can't do this.
Control find. How many times you said, they. They did. They said.
I remember at one point I kept using, what is it called? The whole simile thing, right? So da da da, as if da da da. Every other sentence. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Just say the thing. Just say it's a thing.
No, like, you gotta compare.
You don't have to compare it to everything else.
Everything is comparable.
Yeah. We the first novel, Casey, my first co-author, and I sent in, we had an amazing editor, and she highlighted this one paragraph that I had written, and she was like, all right, Marisa, I will give you one necessary, but you cannot have 6 necessaries in this paragraph. And I was like, there is no way that I put 6. Yep, I sure did. There are 6 necessaries in here. Something was unnecessary, something was necessary, something was necessarily. It was awful. And after that, the next 2 books that Casey and I have written together, part of our editing process is reading it out loud to each other for that audiobook reason. It caught so much. There's more stuff, I'm sure, but it caught so much.
Microsoft Word has a read out loud option that you have to kind of go in the underbelly and do. And as painful as it is to hear the very painfully obvious computer voice, it's still
worth it.
Because all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what did they say? I'm like,
that doesn't make sense. That can't be right.
That can't be you don't want to hear it when either A, you're reading it out loud because somebody's asked you to read part of your story.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Or B, when you're listening to the audiobook version and you're like, what is that in the manuscript? And then you look it up and you're like, oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. I didn't write that. Did I write that? Oh, I wrote that. Okay. Yeah.
So let's talk about people coming to you about characters. One of the things I always find interesting is, as much as we love the main character, people like Bob the barista in the book, who you maybe didn't have even a backstory for Bob the barista, but he's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep saying this on the podcast. I feel like somebody's going to write the Bob the barista book at some point in time. But have you encountered that, where people come up to you about the side characters that you use to do a plot thing, and they're like, oh my God, my favorite character was Teresa. And you're like,
Who the fuck's Teresa?
Who? Wait, was that in there?
Who's Teresa?
and of course we can't do that to the fans. We're like, oh,
I love her so much too. Yeah. Yes. So the beauty of, Casey and I did a trilogy. And the beauty of it was we had a slightly throwaway character who was just so sassy, which I love a good sassy character. And she became the viewpoint, one of the 2 viewpoint characters in book 3, because people responded so strongly to her that she just ended up being a protagonist. And because I also was like, people love her, I love her. So excuse, thank you. I'll take it.
and you're like, cool.
This is for me now. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Val.
Oh, now it's my turn again.
Mm-hmm.
What about, okay, I'm going to ask another question. You're actually supposed to be co-hosting the show.
Oh,
So you have to think about questions that ask the person and not get asked to ask the person a question on the show.
Rapid fire.
That it's supposed to be
well,
rapid fire.
I had like 2 or 3, and then they went out the window, and I don't remember what they were.
I bet they were awesome.
So what about meeting fans? What has that been like for you?
So it's been really fun. So I've written in these shared universes, right? And so they come with established fans. And that has been really fun, especially when they bring me, like, I'm not saying you have to bring me presents. You definitely don't have to bring me presents. But when they bring me presents, like a murder kitty merch. So we've got these cat assassins. And so this amazing gentleman brought me a patch of a cat with a knife in its mouth. It's just like a murder cat. Oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. We've also had first tattoo, like first character tattoo was really cool. And seeing cosplayers. So I was an author's first cosplayer with a friend of mine at DragonCon a couple of years ago, Naomi Novik. We cosplayed as dragon captains. Dragons, it's a theme. And she was like, oh my God, you're my first cosplayer. This is amazing. And I was like, oh, that's nice. That makes me feel nice. And then like 4 or 5 years later, I was at a convention and somebody was like, yeah, don't you know, I'm cosplaying as this character from your book. And I was like, I'm going to die. Like, I can't, like, I just, like, my heart beats really fast. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God.
It is definitely one of the most sincere forms of flattery.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It is.
It just,
is the cosplaying of a character from a book.
I love it so much.
I'm terrified of that from some of my books, but just don't show up with blood on you. It's fine.
Yeah, not real blood. Anyway, just like good spatter would be okay, but not real.
Yeah, exactly, but not real blood.
No, thank you.
Fake blood.
The cosplay blood.
Just fake.
Yeah. What advice would you give an author for co-authoring? We don't get co-authors very often, so I'm curious to see what kind of advice you would give them.
So I have now co-authored with 4 different people, and I think it's one, talk up front about how you're going to do it, and then be honest along the way if things aren't working the way you thought. Like, it's the same as doing anything with anybody. Like, you set ground rules, and then you get into it and you're like, ooh, yeah, so I said I like this thing, but I don't like that thing. Like, that is not working for me. So can we do this? Like, communication is the most important thing. And then being real and direct about what you want. Like, you cannot make somebody guess after you. It's the same as like a good management experience at a job. Like, you can't expect people to imagine what's in your head. You have to tell them. And especially writing can be so personal. You really want to be upfront and honest about what works and doesn't work for you. So I had recently, I co-authored with Chris Kennedy, and it was amazing because we totally trash talked each other in the best way, but like, oh, you wrote 3,000 words today, I'm gonna write 4,000 words today, and then we did, and it was amazing. But like, I wouldn't have done, if one of my other co-authors had done that to me, I'd be like, why are you being so mean to me? Like, it just, the personality, you've got to go with like how your personality is working, and you've got to be honest about that, and then it can be so much fun or the most frustrating thing you've ever done. And so much of that comes down to your writing style and their writing style and how you communicate throughout the process. And the biggest piece of advice that I have learned the hard way 3 times because I'm an idiot is write your outline down. Do not get so excited with your co-author plotting on a call that neither of you writes it down and then you have to replot your book 3 times.
Yep. No,
I agree. And I think getting to know personality wise your co-author makes a huge difference. Like, do you actually get along with them?
Yeah, because if you don't like them as a person, don't write with them.
Run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during the 20 years of fan fiction, as it were, what piece of advice or critique has stuck with you to help you in what you do now? Or
not
made a
every
difference?
Yeah, I think it's just because you intended to do something in a story doesn't mean you did it, or doesn't mean that it's going to work the way you think it will for every reader. So there was once, I mean, I was probably in my early 20s, and somebody really didn't like something I did in a story. And I don't even remember, I remember the feeling very clearly, but I don't even remember what it was I did, but it hurt her feelings in some way. And I remember being like, I didn't do that on purpose. What is wrong? Like, it's not about you. It was about these characters. And then I actually thought about it, like got over myself and thought about it. And I was like, oh, so I knew what I meant to do here, but you don't know as the reader what I meant to do here. And so what you take from it is you, yes, for sure. But also I need to be careful about the fact that I am saying the things I mean to say and not sending out unintentional messages that are going to make people feel icky. So there's some commitments I have made to myself over the years of like, I'm just not going to have sexual assault in my books. I'm just not, I don't want them. If I can come up with a world that has dragons, I can come up with a world that does not have rape. Thank you so much. Like, the end. But like, these are agreements I make with myself, and I want to make those very clear to my reader when I can too. Like, you can trust that these things will or won't happen. Like, I will take these characters seriously, or I will take the feelings I'm trying to get from you seriously, and not just have a toss off character that makes you feel like I'm belittling gay people or anything. Like, I want to be very intentional with what I do. And I wish I could remember the exact thing she was critiquing me on, but I remember the defensiveness and then I need to be more thoughtful with what I do. So.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, Val, final question, my friend.
What is so I always like to ask this question, like, when you sit down to get ready to write, like, is there a certain food, drink, or arrangement or music or anything? Like, what is your writing ritual when you sit down to get into it? What do you need going on at any given point?
Fun fact, it is different almost every time. So sometimes I need music. Sometimes music makes me itchy and I can't focus at all. I would say the constants are, I have water. I have to be comfortable. Like, I cannot. So right now, like, I'm sitting in my office. I don't have the right pillow behind me. So I'm like shifting a lot. Like, I'm not at quite the right height. So I would not be a productive writer here. But most of this novel that I just finished, I was on my couch with my feet stretched out on the ottoman, like pillows burrowed all around me, a dog at my side, water on my side, just writing. So I guess I need a dog, comfort, and water, and everything else comes and goes.
There you go.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Shameless self-promotion time, my friend. Where can people find you and your books?
Yes. So you can come to my website, marisawolf.com or .net. As I like to say, I go both ways. And you can find me there at Book Dogs on Instagram for pictures of my books, pictures of my dogs, and bonus RV travels. You can join my newsletter on my website. You can find me on Amazon. And those are the big things. come hang out with me at cons. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being on this podcast and putting up with Valerie.
Valerie, you're a delight. A delight, I tell you.
Yeah, no, Valerie is a delight.
I know.
Thank you so much for being here in us exploring the Gorgon and potatoes. I appreciate both of those.
Potatoes are so important.
And guys, this has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I've got weird lighting in my office, so now I'm glowing weirdly.
Now you're glowing. Yeah,
it's very
getting slightly darker.
Ooh, yeah,
it's very awkward. Anyway, this is Literary Briefs edition. I've been your host, Erica Lance. Co-host been Val Willis. Our guest has been Marisa Wolf. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and please feel free to comment or leave a review. We'd love to see that. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.